In just 94 seconds, 2,407 classified Epstein files worth $89 million in hush money vanished from FBI servers while DOJ officials coordinated the cover-up. Jasmine Crockett didn't back down. She slammed encrypted hard drives onto the committee table. Cameras captured every trembling hand. The House chamber fell silent like a tomb. What did Crockett reveal that made FBI Director Kash Patel and Attorney General Patel-Bondi's coordinated denials crumble before 147 million live viewers? June 12, 2025, 2:19 p.m. Room 2037 of the Rayburn House office building. The air thick with secrets about to explode into daylight. Kash Patel walked in like an investigator who had perfected the art of selective truth. Midnight blue suit tailored to project federal authority. FBI badge polished to reflect the cameras that would soon document his downfall. Beside him sat Attorney General Patel-Bondi, her navy blazer and American flag pin projecting unwavering justice. A confident smile masking the anxiety of someone whose coordination with Patel was about to be exposed. Across the mahogany battlefield sat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, looking like a prosecutor who had spent months preparing to detonate the biggest scandal in federal law enforcement history. In front of her lay 7 encrypted hard drives marked with red classified stamps, each containing digital evidence that would soon turn careers to ash. C-SPAN's live feed carried the confrontation to millions of Americans who sensed they were about to witness the most significant government accounting moment since Watergate. At exactly 2:19 p.m., Chairman Jerry Nadler called the hearing to order. The committee will now receive testimony regarding FBI document retention policies related to high-profile federal cases. Everyone understood this was about Jeffrey Epstein and the government officials who had protected his network. Patel opened confidently. Congresswoman Crockett, the FBI, under my leadership, has maintained the highest standards of investigative integrity. Every case receives thorough professional attention regardless of political connections. Crockett let him finish, her fingers drumming on the encrypted drives containing evidence of his institutional lies. Director Patel Crockett began with prosecutorial precision. You mentioned thorough professional attention. Let's examine that claim through documented actions rather than prepared denials. She connected the first drive to her laptop with deliberate ceremony. Director, do you recall the Jeffrey Epstein federal investigation conducted from 2019 through 220? Patel's jaw tightened while Bondi's smile flickered. The Epstein case was dangerous territory both officials had hoped to avoid. The Epstein investigation was concluded following Mr. Epstein's death. The FBI conducted a thorough investigation within established parameters. Thorough investigation, Crockett repeated, her voice rising. Director, let me show you what thorough investigation looks like when it's not being deliberately sabotaged. Her screen displayed a document that made committee members lean forward. This is an internal FBI memorandum dated August 15, 2019, 5 days after Epstein's supposed suicide. It details a directive from FBI headquarters, ordering immediate cessation of all investigative activities related to Epstein's co-conspirator network. The directive was personally signed by you, Director Patel. The chamber erupted in gasps. This was documented evidence of the FBI director personally halting investigation into America's most significant sex trafficking network. Complex considerations. Crockett echoed when Patel attempted deflection. Director, let me provide context. She activated another drive, displaying financial records. These banking records show wire transfers totaling $12.7 million from Epstein-linked accounts to consulting firms. Secure Justice, LLC, registered to Patel's brother-in-law, and Legal Defense Strategies Incorporated, registered to Bondi's former law partner. Both firms established within 48 hours of your confirmations. The evidence was devastating. $12.7 million flowing from Epstein's network to both officials' families immediately before they gained power to shut down investigations. Patel's face went pale as he realized the scope of evidence against him. Any financial relationships are properly disclosed through ethics protocols. I have no knowledge of these specific transactions. No knowledge? Crockett repeated with contempt. Let me refresh your memory. She opened audio files that made the chamber fall silent. This is a recorded phone conversation from September 3rd. The audio was crystal clear. Patel's voice discussing payment schedules and investigation termination timelines with Bondi's voice coordinating DOJ prosecutorial decisions. Both officials explicitly discussed halting Epstein-related investigations in exchange for consulting payments. Director Patel Attorney General Bondi, Crockett said, as the audio concluded, those were your voices discussing payments for shutting down the Epstein investigation. Do you maintain no knowledge of these arrangements? The recorded evidence was irrefutable. But the audio is just the beginning, Crockett announced, connecting another drive displaying thousands of deleted documents. We also have the files you tried to destroy. This forensic recovery shows that on August the 20th, 2019, your office authorized deletion of 247 classified files related to the Epstein investigation. Files containing evidence of government officials, business leaders, and foreign dignitaries involved in Jeffrey Epstein's traffic network. When Patel attempted more deflection about technical considerations, Crockett interrupted with devastating precision. Director, let me show you what your technical considerations protected. She displayed a recovered document that made the chamber gasp. This is the deleted client list. It contains 189 names of individuals who participated in Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking network. The list includes 3 current U.S. senators, 2 Supreme Court justices, 1 former president, and 17 federal judges. You deleted evidence that could have prosecuted nearly 200 individuals involved in child trafficking. Social media erupted. #Epstein client list began trending alongside Patel cover-up and justice for victims. But perhaps most damning, Crockett continued, is evidence of ongoing operations. She displayed financial records showing continuing payments from Epstein-linked accounts months after his supposed death. Director, these banking records show $4.3 million in payments from Epstein accounts continuing through March 22. How do you explain financial activity from a dead man's network? The continuing payments prove Jeffrey Epstein's network remained operational with FBI protection. These transactions coincide with your termination of 67 FBI agents investigating Epstein-related cases. You fired the investigators and protected the criminals. Director Patel, Crockett said, her voice rising with fury. You didn't just cover up past crimes. You enabled ongoing trafficking. How many children were victimized per case? You chose to protect Jeffrey Epstein's clients rather than his victims. Patel stood abruptly, composure shattered. Congresswoman, these allegations are based on selective interpretation taken out of context. Federal prosecutors, Crockett interrupted, connecting her final drive. Let me show you which federal prosecutors you consulted. The screen displayed email communications between Patel and Bondi, discussing client protection strategies and evidence suppression tactics. These emails show you personally coordinating the Epstein cover-up. Quote from Bondi's August 17th message. Client list protection is priority 1. Political survival depends on complete burial. Patel's response, FBI investigation termination approved. Files scheduled for deletion. Or both officials' faces went ashen as their own words condemned them. But the most explosive evidence, Crockett announced, comes from Jeffrey Epstein himself. She played a video file that made the chamber gasp in shock. The screen showed Jeffrey Epstein very much alive in a recent video, Call discussing ongoing operations and client protection with Patel and Bondi's voices, coordinating his continued protection. Director Patel, Attorney General Bondi. This video was recorded on April the 15th, 2025, nearly 6 years after Jeffrey Epstein's supposed death. He discusses current client services, ongoing trafficking operations, and specific payments to both of you for protection. The video shattered every official narrative. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't dead. He was alive, active, and operating under coordinated federal government protection. The chamber erupted in chaos as reporters realized they had witnessed the most explosive government scandal in American history. Director Patel, Attorney General Bondi, Crockett said above the chaos, "Your coordinated cover-up made the federal government complicit in ongoing trafficking." The FBI-DOJ became Jeffrey Epstein's protection agencies. She held up a final photograph. This image shows both of you personally meeting with Jeffrey Epstein at a secure federal facility in January 2025. You were coordinating his protection while publicly maintaining he was dead. Both Patel and Bondi gathered their materials with trembling hands. Careers destroyed and criminal liability established. As they fled toward the exit, Crockett delivered final judgment. Director Patel, Attorney General Bondi, your resignations are meaningless. You will both face criminal charges for conspiracy to obstruct justice, coordinated evidence destruction, and joint conspiracy to protect the trafficking network. The evidence is overwhelming, and the American people finally know the truth. As both officials fled the hearing room, they left behind destroyed careers and collapsed public trust in federal law enforcement. The evidence presented by Jasmine Crockett had revealed systematic coordination between FBI and DOJ to protect America's most dangerous criminal network. That evening, Jeffrey Epstein's victims finally had hope for justice. The coordinated cover-up had been exposed. The evidence was public, and the officials who had protected their abusers were finally facing accountability. The 94 seconds that destroyed both Kash Patel and Pam Bondi's careers marked the beginning of the largest criminal investigation in American history. An investigation that would finally deliver justice for Jeffrey Epstein's victims. Sometimes the strongest weapon against institutional corruption isn't political power. It's methodical investigation perfectly executed by someone who understands how to destroy criminal enterprises through evidence. What happens when systematic government conspiracy meets systematic congressional oversight? Can criminal enterprises survive when their coordination is exposed? Kash Patel and Pam Bondi learned that some crimes are too well documented to deny, and some conspiracies too extensive to excuse. If this criminal accountability restored your faith in congressional oversight, don't just watch, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, where government conspiracies get exposed and justice gets served. Hit the bell. The next criminal enterprise might involve your representatives. What would you do if your government officials were protecting child predators? Drop a comment below. This dramatized story is inspired by real events and public figures. All dialogue and incidents are fictionalized for commentary and educational purposes. This is not intended to defame, but to explore themes of government accountability, institutional corruption, and the fight for justice.